Welcome to Guy Code, a podcast dedicated to imparting dad wisdom to my son, with your host, Koji Steven Sakai, and friends.
Alrighty, welcome. I'm Koji, and this is episode 16 of the Guy Code. I did Kendo, which is Japanese sword fighting. I did it for like 25 years. It's a martial art. When I was a kid, I did it as a martial art. I was pretty good. I fought for the United States team. I did it for a really, really long time, but I didn't enjoy it at all. In fact, my mom made me do it, and I hated it. And I felt like it was a big waste of my time because it wasn't useful. You know, when I was doing Kendo, every time I got in a fight, I never had a sword or a stick in my hand. And even if I did, I'm not sure I would win. So when I had my own kid, I was trying to think about what martial arts I should have my son do. And I didn't want him to do Kendo. And so I asked around, and everyone pretty much said I should do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So we went to a few different academies, and they all have their different feels. And I didn't love all of them, but the one I really, really loved was the one in Arcadia. And it was ZR. And that's why I brought on my friend Lucas Rocha. Is that how you pronounce it? How do you pronounce your last name, Lucas? Rocha?
Rocha.
Oh, sorry, I'm so bad.
No, but everybody has a hard time.
Okay. Hi, Professor Lucas.
Hello, Koji. Thank you for having me here.
No, thank you for. Oh, good.
No.
Thank you for coming. Why don't you tell us? Oh, you're cutting in and out a little bit. Hello?
Yeah. Sorry. Yep.
Oh, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Yeah, I can hear you. What about, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Lucas Rocha. I'm a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I have been training for about 18 years. And I had the pleasure to meet you and Takao, 3-4 years ago. And I currently own 2 gyms, and yeah, I started training with 12, and that's all I have been doing pretty much my entire life.
and your gyms are in Arcadia and Pasadena. We go to the Pasadena one, but we also go to the Arcadia one. But because I think we started in Arcadia, so that's kind of our we feel love for that place because that was the place we first went to. So I brought on Professor Lucas, to talk about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and life advice around Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So, Professor, why don't you get us started? What's your first piece of advice?
I think Jiu-Jitsu is pretty amazing, huh? How you can compare to real life. I started realizing that years ago. Especially when I moved here, I could use a lot of lessons on the journey to live in America because it isn't easy, and Jiu-Jitsu isn't easy as well. So you can definitely compare both the Jiu-Jitsu life and the real life, and you can use those lessons to achieve whatever you want in life. So I might be a good example of the I don't want to say success, but getting kind of there. Came all the way from Brazil, opened up my gym, and as you can see, it wasn't easy. But with all the struggle I had in Jiu-Jitsu and what I had to overcome, taught me that I could achieve my dreams and own a gym and succeed here in America. So,
great, I love that.
One of the best things I see in Jiu-Jitsu. More feeling choking you out and pushing you hard and making you overcome. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah,
in a safe way, of course.
In a safe way, of course. Yeah.
As
No, I love that. I mean, you own 2 gyms, and there are always a bunch of students in there. So I think you're doing super, super well. And okay, so one of my first piece of advice is that in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you can learn that it's the skills you learn in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, using other people's strength against them, or you could use that in real life, like when people are attacking you, not physically, but kind of with their words or at work or something. You could use that same technique of not punching back, but using their strength against them. because I think it's that learning how to deal with other people skill that you really, really learn in jiu-jitsu. And I think that that's a really, really important lesson. Like, so I always say, like, when I think about difficult people in my life, I always think, how can I jiu-jitsu them? I say, how can I use what they're trying to hurt me or trying to do something to me? Not physically, but in a kind of an emotional or physical or emotional or mental sort of way, and use that against them. So I think that that's one of the skills I've learned from jiu-jitsu from you guys, is how to not react, but be able to use their momentum, their strength, their whatever aggressive against them, So I think that's really, really good.
I mean, I guess be patient to move on the right time, huh? Like to say something on the right time, wait for the right momentum to move, to do because that's jiu-jitsu. That's what all we do all day training.
Yeah, it's not. I don't have to just attack right away, or I don't have to react to. I don't even have to react to them. I could just find the right moments and practice those kinds of techniques, And even if they're bigger or or more important or whatever than me, I could still use the techniques to learn about my skills, And by the way, I should mention, I'm only a blue belt, so I don't really know a lot. So I'm just going to talk from what I know, from watching my son, watching Takao, and watching you guys and stuff. So I can only talk a little bit about what I know. But I would love to hear your next piece of advice. Do you have another piece of advice?
I think that's that for now out of my head. That'll be the main one. Like you do use. I mean, you can use the hard work and everything you go through jiu-jitsu in your real life. And you can overcome, as you mentioned, like doesn't matter how big or how strong is your opponent or how important someone is, and you can always like use different ways to deal with different situations.
Yeah, like same thing. One of the things I've learned is that I have to trust people a lot more. So that what I love about going to your academy is kind of the trust I've developed and friendships I developed through the time, because I have to trust that if they're going to choke me, they're going to let go if I tap. That's a lot of trust that I have to have, because if somebody's choking me, I'm not going to let them choke me, right? But if these guys at the gym, if these guys come in the gym, I'm going to trust that that
it gives you the confidence, right? I mean, I'm already interrupting you, but I just thought about it. It gives you the confidence, like you can go well, but when you get like black belt, we get like even in the higher rank, you see people lower ranks getting closer to you and getting deep into a movement, and they're gonna have the confidence of getting out of the situation. And something that we can definitely apply in real life.
Yeah. Well, and that's
honestly.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
With me, I just thought about a situation that happened like in Brazil. I have been doing it for quite a while, and I never had any street fight situation. I mean, besides the one that someone walked in and got the sword, and I you heard about it. And I had to give like a takedown, and I was about to put the guy to sleep. The guy was like high and wasn't well. The cops showed up, and everything was fine. But besides that, I never, and avoided a lot of street fights back in Brazil, because out there, like you fight, and then they hear that this guy does jiu-jitsu, I'm gonna show up next time with a knife or with a gun, or
Yeah.
So I always avoided, and I honestly always had the chance to fight. People, most of the times they pick me. Like once a week at least, every other week, someone is like hitting my shoulder, passing my bone, and looking around and like, man, I'm not here to fight. I'm here to enjoy the knife. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that gave me the confidence, like I can do that. I was always super calm, so always very relaxed, and knew that I had full control of the situation without even having the fight, without even starting a fight. I had full control of it. So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, no, I mean that's what I always tell Takao, is that if he doesn't need to fight anybody, that there's no reason to, and if he needs to, he can protect himself if he needs to, but for the most part, he doesn't need, like, you shouldn't need to. He doesn't need to look for a fight. He doesn't need to go like prove anything to anybody, any girl or any of his friends or himself, and that, you know, it's stronger for him to walk away from the fight than it is for him to get in the fight. I love that. Yeah. And then, you know, also like, you know, when going back to the choking thing, right? When I'm like, one of the things I learned is that it's like not to panic, right? Is not to panic like right away. Cause usually if people were choking me, I'd like probably freak out. But yeah, but now it's like, I mean, obviously it doesn't feel great to get choked, but it's not the first, my first instinct is not to panic necessarily. And I think that's one of the great things about jiu-jitsu for learning at your academy has been, you know, being able to feel like I'm in control, even if I'm not in control, you know.
Feel comfortable in an uncomfortable situation, right? In an uncomfortable position.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think in life, it's like, you know, the first instinct a lot of times is that you panic. And so you react, and usually the reaction is bad, right? It leads to more problems, you know, even in like in jiu-jitsu, if I move too fast and try to get out of it, I'm just putting myself in a worse position. And that was one of the things I had to learn from a white belt was not necessarily to go crazy, right? You know, when something bad happens, I have to think about it and try to use what I've learned to get out of that position, right? And I can't do it all the time, but I at least know. I at least know what I'm not supposed to do.
None of us. We all sometimes get caught here and there. So, but yeah, you're right. You're completely right.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to talk too much, but you know, I have another one, which is, you know, that it's okay to lose, you know, and that I've learned at jiu-jitsu, you know, that like, first of all, especially when I was a white belt, but I lost to everybody all the time. And it was, you know, it was humbling, but it was good because I got better, right? I got better, but that it's when I lost, I learned what I did wrong and try to fix it the next time, you know, and even for Takao, you know, when we were, I don't know if I ever told you this, but all the other sports he does, they don't keep score. And so there's no winning or losing. And so the first time he went to like a real tournament, he lost and he didn't get a medal or anything. And he was pretty sad about that. And I just remember thinking that it's good, you know, it's good for him to lose. It's okay to lose because then you have something to work for, right? And you have something to move for. And that's why when he eventually won his last tournament, he got second place. It was like great because it feels better because he actually had to do something for it. You know, he couldn't just he doesn't just win it because he showed up, which is all the other sports right now, which is really frustrating because in baseball or basketball or soccer, you know, everybody gets a trophy for showing up.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that. I'm not very familiar with the different sports.
Yeah. In America right now, for young kids, they don't keep score, and they have no winners or losers, and so so there's no like in jiu-jitsu, I've learned to lose is okay.
It's not a competition. It's like a show, right? Not a real competition.
No, it's not. I mean, it's competition in that they're playing against each other, but they're not. It's not like competition that there's a winner and there's a loser.
I see.
Right.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Well, what have you learned from like losing? Do you learn anything from losing?
Oh, for sure, yeah. Just like you mentioned, like by losing, you in jiu-jitsu, there's so many feelings, right? So when you're fighting and you lose, when you get like a close match, you're like, man, I was so close. I could do this and that and this and that. So you always believe, gives you that feel that you can do better. You can do better. And that always brought me back to the gym. And every time I lost, I was always thinking about fixing whatever I got it wrong.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was always, okay, it's time to set up another goal. Time to do it again. And honestly, in jiu-jitsu, most of the black belts nowadays that start competing as a child, you know, they do need competition. Like if I'm not really thinking about a competition, I lose a little bit of my focus to train my you know what I mean? Like I don't really want to train for fun and all, but I always gotta have like something going on.
Yeah.
Something. I always set this goal like on and on and on.
Yeah,
but no. Like going back a little, with the life, the off the mat life. situations.
Mhm.
By competing, gives you the focus of getting better than what you're doing. So if you go compete and then you lose, you're like, man, I gotta get this guy, you know. So it gives you this focus. And whenever you have like a situation, you're like, they don't know how to fight. That is not a competition, you know. Like you can really, it helps even more to walk away and like don't even bother this. No, I wanna win against people that knows what is going on, knows how to fight, not people that don't know how to fight. Which actually at the street, those are the guys. The guys that fight at the streets, they are the ones that they have no idea how to
Yeah.
have the right. So yeah.
Exactly. I mean, that's always, I mean, when I was talking about kendo earlier, my sword fighting,
Mm-hmm.
if I fought somebody off the street, there's almost no way I'd win.
Yeah, because
Because they would just, well, no, because they could do, in kendo, it's so formal. Like you could only do certain things.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And so if somebody attacked me like unexpected, I wouldn't be able to defend myself.
I'm not familiar with the martial arts, but
Yeah. Well, it's a really like, it's like it used to be samurai martial art, but it's like, the problem is it's very formal and very structured. So it's like,
they created a lot of rules, right?
yeah. So I could only hit like in 3 places. I could only do certain things. And so if you had a sword and you just started swinging wildly,
oh, you cannot protect yourself.
I wouldn't know what to do because it'd be like, whoa. Whereas,
I didn't train for that.
that's one of the good things about jiu-jitsu to me is that it's like you're as if you're fighting somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, you, in a lot of ways, you're reacting to what they're doing. And you can still do your things, but you're just reacting differently than if you're fighting somebody that you know, which is what I really love. One of the things I do really love about it is that it's more of a thinking kind of thing. It's more reacting and thinking.
For sure.
As opposed to my martial art, which was nothing, which was like, although if I have a sword, I could probably hurt somebody, but I don't know. It's pretty relatively not good. And going back to tournaments, that was one of the things that for Takao, that was one of the things that he had to learn, which was that, when he was at practice, he was messing around and he was laughing and talking to his friends. And then he was, and then when he's sparring, he wasn't really engaged. And then we went to tournament and those people were, they're trying to kill him.
He was like, probably like, what is going on?
And so then, that was one of the things we had to talk about was, when you're at practice, you have to act like it's a tournament. You have to focus like a tournament because you can't turn it on in a tournament. And I think that was really good for him to see the difference between what it was like at a tournament and what it was like at practice. And then I think it made his practice better because now he has to learn. And I think that that's a good life lesson for him, which is about practice. You have to have practice, you have to have discipline, and you could play before practice and you can play after practice. But when you're in the middle of it, you have to practice. How much do you practice in a day?
Now managing the classes, I want to say twice a day, once or twice a day.
Wow.
Yeah, Monday through Friday. I take
That's
Saturdays and Sundays.
That's a lot.
It is. What is good? My dad was another. Man, really, you train super hard, and on that day,
yeah.
I mean, I wasn't using strength, and also that's one good thing. Once you really learn, and you can enjoy it without pushing too hard. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, no, I'm not at that stage yet. I remember
You're gonna get there.
when I spar against like when Diego was here, when if I was in Diego or anything, I'm so tired at the end, but he's not even trying. He's not even trying. But for me, it's like
get there for sure.
For me, it's like the hardest thing to get there. But that's what I like. That's what I really like also about jiu-jitsu is that it's when you're in control. It's not like you're wasting movements. You're not kind of jumping. You're not you're not wasting energy. Where in the beginning of like when I first started, or even now, and when I see people fighting on the street, they're wasting a lot of energy. They're running around. They're jumping. They're and I think that's really amazing. I remember I saw with Diego and Professor Gabriel at the tournament, and as they were I think as Professor Gabriel was fighting. Professor Diego was yelling from the stands, and Professor Gabriel looked up and had a conversation with him. And then he came back, and then they came back to the fight, which is crazy because, if I looked up in the middle of a match, I would be taken down in 1 second.
But that's the right moment, right? After time, you find out when is a good time to relax and honestly, I think that's this that can be the make the difference between the white belt to the black belt. He's managing the energy, as you mentioned. Like when you started, you go all crazy. It's all about. In Brazil, we say that you move like a Toyota car because you're like the old ones always. Every driver the old Toyota car, they shake a lot. So and then years pass by, and then you learn more technique. You learn how to use the energy when we save the energy, and you learn how to. That's why also on the beginning as a white belt, 5 minutes match in a competition, and as a double. So you do learn how to manage the time and the.
Yeah,
sorry, I ended up interrupting you.
No, that's fine. You should. You're the guest. You're the guest. I'm not the guest. So, well, do you have any other advice, life advice, or regular advice you'd like to share with Takao or anybody?
Well, keep training, Takao. You have a beautiful future ahead. Amazing dad and parents, right? You guys are always thinking about him. Like that, always like it's just amazing. Being this as you and many other friends I have seen here, you guys are very like 100% for the child, and that's just amazing. I think that's one of the best things you can achieve in life.
That's why when you have only
congratulations.
When you only have one child, it's easy to do that.
It is. I can imagine. I'm already having I'm doing the first 3 months, and the first 3 months, you know how that goes.
Yeah, well,
she's a good baby, but she cries a lot, and it's being difficult, and you don't know what to do. So
it gets a little bit easier. That first year is tough.
Yeah.
The first year is tough, and then it changes, but different kinds of problems. But that first 3 months and the first year is terrible. That's like the worst time period because it's hard. It's really hard, and it's really. But the good thing now is that you guys are it's lockdown, so you guys don't have to go out or do anything.
That's right.
Because in
oh, good. You're saying like, keep training, keep pushing, keep enjoying it, keep using jiu-jitsu as a tool in your real life, because becoming a competitor or not, so many benefits the martial arts.
Yeah. Okay.
And keep. We're having like a bad connection again.
Yeah, I think we're having a bad connection here, but it's okay. Can you hear me now?
Would you?
Yes. You're back. Oh no.
Yeah, sorry.
No problem. So where can people find out more about ZR?
Well, we have actually in California, we do have 4-5 gyms. My own in Arcadia, Pasadena. There's one in Laverne, in Woodland Hills, and all the way in Visalia. I always have a hard time to Visalia?
Visalia.
Visalia, yeah. All right. So yeah, 5 gyms. ZR teams being one of the biggest teams all over the world. It's more than 200 affiliations. Gyms that spread out in Europe, Brazil. So yeah, you can look it up for our gyms on our website, zrcalifornia.com, and yeah, just look it up and do some research and Google us. And that's basically that.
And everybody, I'll put a link up on the site so you guys could just click on the link, and I definitely recommend coming out to the gym. I do the Wednesday classes in Pasadena, so if you want to join me on Mondays and Wednesdays, you should come out once this is all over, obviously. Right now there's only online classes, but in the future, so hopefully soon we'll be able to have real classes again. But thank you, Professor, so much for coming on. I really appreciate your time and your advice, especially on a Mother's Day. So I appreciate that. And everybody else, thank you for listening to the podcast or watching the podcast. If you're watching it online, please rate, review, and subscribe to the podcasts. That's the best way. And then obviously, if you want to be on the podcast, we'd love to have you. So let us know on our socials, which is Facebook and Instagram at Guy Code Pod across the platform. So thank you, Professor. And thank you everyone for listening. Thank you, Koji. I really appreciate it. Thank you all for listening, and I'll see you hopefully soon.